to Inspirational Transformational TV Show. Amy Whitney here today with a big surprise for the TV show viewers. We're going to shake things up today, and who better to do that with than Dr. AlixSandra Parness. AlixSandra was in the Niagara area a few weeks ago, and she has blessed the ITTV show with permission to record one of her talks that she gave at Willow Den. AlixSandra was in town to hold one of her workshops on activating joy through deliberate blessings. She spoke a little bit about those concepts during this talk you're about to watch, and she also told us about her new book, which is being released May 2011. The book will be amazing. I can guarantee that. I put my guarantee stamp on that. Everything AlixSandra does is at such a frequency that once you've been exposed to it, you are truly changed. So check out AlixSandra's website if you're interested in her new book, Activate Joy. And like I said, I highly recommend it. The talk that AlixSandra is about to share with us is so inspirational and just amazing to watch. Now, one point before you watch the show, when I went to the talk, I basically pressed record and then sat back and absorbed AlixSandra's teachings. So if you've got a critical eye for video recording, I didn't follow her around as she spoke. I just left my camera on a tripod. So she walks in and out sometimes of the shot, but the point is not necessarily to critique my video skills. The point is to absorb AlixSandra's teachings, and they are an absolute blessing. So without further ado, Dr. AlixSandra Parness.
So I decided to start letting people know who I was. You know, I don't know if any of you have ever had the problem of really letting anybody know who you are. A lot of times, and if you turn off your cell phones, it would be very, very helpful. A lot of times what happens to us in this particular world is that we're not really allowed to be magnificent. We're really taught that it's better to be small and not seen and not heard. Anybody here had that taught to you? Right. So a lot of us are coming out of that now. What I want to talk about tonight in the time that I have here is what I see happening in 2012. I've been teaching for 32 years. I have a school. I have graduated I don't know how many classes, 4-year schools. I teach a certified 4-year program, which is now condensed into 18 months because you're all getting too smart. Many years ago, we didn't even know what energy was. People didn't really understand what the chakra system was or how to work with body energy. Today, because of all the training so many people have, the consciousness has raised. You would all agree, right? And you know, don't you, that there is something happening out there. Everybody can kind of feel this electric thing going on in the world. I mean, just look at the world. Look at the incredible contrast that's going on. If you're not talking about the economic situation, you're talking about politics. It's black and white. There is very little gray area for us any longer. So then we say, well, where am I? If there's very little gray area, then what am I supposed to think now that I understand that, well, maybe I realize that I'm an important person in the world. Maybe I realize that I can make a difference, but I don't really know how I make a difference, right? In the past couple of years, my students have begged me to write a book. I haven't been able to write it. And the reason I haven't been able to write it is I haven't been able to think enough of myself to be able to think anybody would want to read anything I wrote. And that's the truth. They'll all tell you that, actually. And not long ago, all of a sudden, I began to understand something very important. Now, I lost my husband 10 years ago. His anniversary is in a week and a half. And it was devastating for me. I didn't understand anything about death, dying, how it all worked. I was a wife for 43 years. Ministering and pastoring was kind of a sideline. You know, I did it for fun, I thought. And so as I went along with things, I got into this place of utter despair. I must have spent about 5 years in that place. Oh yes, I was teaching, working with my school and everything else, and then I'd go home and go to bed for 2 weeks. Unconsolable because I did not understand death. Didn't understand the death process, what it was all about, how to deal with it, how to continue to live in a happy way, right? So as I have moved along in my own evolvement and in my own awareness, what I want to talk about tonight is I'm in the process of, I do a Monday night teleconference, which I can tell you how to get to. I just finished a 10-week series. And that whole series was on the paradigm shift that we're all going through right now. What's a paradigm shift? Paradigm shift is when the whole of life as you know it is shifting into a different consciousness, a different way of being, a different way of thinking, right? So how many of you here would agree with me that there's some deconstructing that needs to go on? Old belief systems and things that aren't working anymore. Just tell me one thing in a belief system that isn't working for you anymore. Anybody? What isn't working?
The notion that you can have it all.
The notion that you can have it all is not working. Pam, write that down and make sure I don't forget that one. Okay, what else? What else isn't working for you?
That you have to have so much accomplished by a certain time in your life or you're a failure.
You have to have so much accomplished by a certain time in your life or you're a failure. I really love that one. Anybody else?
I am not enough.
You're not enough. Oh my God, I just love these. You're all giving me a nice little stack of judgments. How cute. What else? One more.
It's not really good to function on autopilot.
It's not good to function on autopilot, okay? And I need one more. Okay.
There's no balance anymore between rest and work. It's overloaded with work.
There's no balance anymore between rest and work. Okay, so I'm going to start with a statement to begin to deconstruct something extremely important in our lives, and that's to recognize, and just take a big deep breath now when I tell you this, that you are an eternal being. That's number one. You have to get it. That you're eternal. Do you know what that means? It means that you never die. Your body poofs away. Yes, it does. Dust to dust, ashes to ashes. But you as a consciousness never die. Did you ever wonder why people come into this world and they accomplish a lot? Things seem to just happen well for them and things work from the time they get started and other people struggle. Did you ever wonder why that happens? What if you knew that things go well for you because you choose it that way, or you struggle because you choose it that way? And what if you knew that that struggle doesn't have to be? What if you knew that? What if you knew that you didn't have to struggle anymore and you could have anything you want anytime you want it? What if you knew that, Rosa? Then what? About a year ago. Huh? Then you'd be thin. Well, you'd be whatever you wanted to be, anytime you want to be it. I used to listen to a wonderful channel. I'm a channel, okay, I better start out with this. I'm a channel, I've been a channel for many, many years. That means that I have access to information from other levels. And I've always had that ability. And I like to listen to other channels. I'm one of these kind of people that's not terribly interested in what humans have to say. I'm just not. I just think they don't know what they're talking about. So I will go. I'm sorry, I will laugh for no reason at all. So I will listen to different channels. And for example, I started out listening to a channel of Seth from Jane Roberts. I happened to live in New York at the time, and I was fortunate to be able to be in those ESP classes with them from the beginning. And so I had a deep understanding of what it's like to actually listen to energy and energy form that knows what it's talking about. So what did Seth say to begin with that changed my life? You create your own reality. So from that little statement, I'm going like, no, I don't. Mom and Dad create my reality. I mean, I didn't think that was important. Let's see, that's 1973. Somebody counted today. I don't know how many years that is. It's a lot of years. But that is still the basis of understanding that I come from. I create my own reality. If I create my own reality and I mess up, then I can fix it. If you create my reality and I mess up, I'm in trouble. Then nobody can do anything. You're the only one that can fix it. I got to chase you until you make it better for me. How many of you here are saviors? Do I have any caretakers in the room? People that take care of other people and save them from whatever fate you think they're in. Right. I was a card-carrying savior. I had a laminated card that said, I will fix you. Come to me and I will make it better. Serious mistake. Big problem, because when you do things like that, you create debt. Emotional, energetic debt. We're in debt in the world because we're in debt energetically within ourselves. And what we're doing now to deconstruct many of these things we're talking about is we are learning to be debt-free. The first key that I can give you to be debt-free is to get that you're eternal. We have families. How many of you live in a family? Okay, we all do, I know. How many of you have a sense within you that you've been with the mother, father, brother, sister before? Oh yeah. And sometimes it's just awful, isn't it? Sometimes you're going, oh my God, how did I ever choose this family? How did this ever happen to me, you know? What if you could turn your thoughts around and go, aren't I lucky to have that miserable mother? Aren't I lucky because what has happened to me in my life, having that tremendous opposite, is it's gotten me to be stronger. I'll bet you there isn't one person in this room that can't tell me that you're not stronger because of whatever struggle you had to go through in your family life. Everybody always gets stronger. It's the way you're supposed to get. Here's the problem. The problem comes in when you get stuck and you don't think you can go any further. There is this, we were talking about this before, Pam and I. What I have learned and teach in my school is this infinity energy. This stuff that this is the way it's supposed to go. I'm going to give you another sentence to put in your little coffer tonight, and that's ease and flow. Life is easy, and life flows whether you like it or not, right? It just does. You keep waking up in the morning even though you wish you didn't sometimes. Just can't do anything about it. Sun freaking rises and it goes down at night, and you haven't been able to do one single thing to change it. Have you? Nothing. No. So why not go with it? Why not just flow with the whole idea that this is a wonderful life we're living in? That you have a beautiful and incredible self that just wants to be happy. All you want is happy. That's all you want. There isn't anybody in here, you know, for years and years, I did a lot of work around soul path. And I have great teachings about what your soul lessons are and how you get from here to there. And then at the beginning of the year, it all got blown out of the water because we only have one purpose, and that's to be happy. So what are you going to do if that's your only purpose? What if you're not supposed to come here to change the world? What if the only thing you're here for is to be happy? What are you going to do with that? What are you going to do with that? Tell me, somebody.
Enjoy. Laugh.
You laugh, you be in joy. What do you do when you're miserable, though? What do you do with it when you're miserable?
Change your thoughts and change your... Spread it around.
Change your thoughts. And how many of you are successful at this? Yeah.
I'm getting better.
Okay,
Getting better.
sometimes. Sometimes is the normal answer. You're not supposed to be better at it all the time. Because what we want is we want to be in this flow of the expanding universe. If you're an eternal being, what in the world are you doing here? Did you ever stop and ask? I did. I said, what in the world am I doing here? When my husband died, he died of melanoma. He had cancer. I had cervical cancer that same year. We took care of him, and I just figured, well, I went to the doctor, and they said, well, you know, you have cervical cancer, blah, blah. And I said, okay, I guess I'm not going to have to be here for very long. I was looking forward to actually exiting off the planet. I couldn't see a life for myself or anything. So finally they operated on me and did all that stuff, and the doctor comes and she says to me, I have good news for you. And I said, oh, when am I dying? You're not. We got it all, you're fine. I'm going, crap. I did. It's the truth, because I couldn't see anything beyond. We started talking about ease and flow. The reason ease and flow doesn't keep easing and flowing is that there are these roadblocks that we build. I started talking about the channels. First, you create your own reality. Second, the second one was that we are the masters of limitation. If you came to this planet to know that you were going to have fun, and joy was going to be in your life, and that's the way you were going to be, and you were going to laugh and have a good time, and even when life dealt you some bad blows, you figured out how to be happy anyway, then what in the world are we doing limiting ourselves so badly? Why, when this is supposed to be ease and flow, you know, you get stuck in the middle here. So as you get stuck, here's the key to the new paradigm. How are you going to get out of it? You got to know how to jump over these things. What I gave you on your seat is something I've been working on for a year now. And it's what I call my joy ruler. And what I work with this is helping people get aligned with this happy self, this total full being. And you're either on one side of that ruler or the other, right? And so part of it is not so many. I don't see the energy here in this room, but if you go out in the world, you'll see it. Being in despair and hopelessness. So after Lee passed away, my husband, I would say I was in despair and hopelessness for a long time. There wasn't anything in me that thought that I could really get through it. And yet, life kept happening. It just was annoying that every day I kept waking up and things kept happening. I would go to my class and my students would be sitting there and they'd go, how come you couldn't heal your husband? Big lesson, big lesson. I knew I was going to get the question. So I thought about it, I prayed about it, and I said, how come I couldn't heal him? Here's for all of the saviors in the world. It isn't your job. The only job we have is to let people live their life the way they want to. And if it's their choice to come and go, then we have to learn the art of celebrating. One of the things I'm doing this weekend, the reason I'm here in St. Catharines, is that I'm launching a new teaching. And the new teaching is the art of blessing. And what I have discovered, and I'm going to work with groups doing now, is you've got one thing, or you either bless or you condemn. Wouldn't you agree? There isn't any gray area here. You either bless something or you condemn it. If you look in the world, you either like what's going on or you don't. And if you don't like what's going on, you will talk about it. You will convince everybody. You will tell my sister-in-law yesterday, what do you think of Obama? What a loaded question. I said, I don't care. Oh, now that, what do you think that did? That pulled her. Did you ever start one of these lawnmowers? You have to go like this. And once you get that silly thing going, it just keeps on going, and it never quits. Well, she got going on about this and that and the other thing, Obama, and I was sitting there going, what part of I don't care didn't you hear me? I do not care. Because why? There is nothing I can do about it. Why do I want to drain my energy on something I can do nothing about. When I could do something about it and I voted for him. I thought Obama was fabulous. I still do. I'm sorry, I'll get a little political. I know I shouldn't do that. I'm not in Madison, Wisconsin, though, at least.
I believe it.
So the point of it is, today, there's nothing I can do. So I don't want to put my energy where it's just like revving up an engine that can't go anywhere. Mm-hmm. But what I notice is that when people have a lot of opinions about things, you cannot stop it, can you? It is like this perpetual, and I know nobody here is like that, but it just keeps going and going and going. It takes a lot of energy to buck that current. That's what this group, and that's what spiritual people must start doing. We've got to buck the current. We have to be willing to be more important. We have to allow ourselves to be more important than all of the stuff going out in the world. So I have another word that I want to put out in the group, and it's a wonderful word. I love this word. I wrote it on my arm for a long time. I had to look at it all the time. The word is called irrelevant. Do you love that word? It's a wonderful word. Anybody here use the word irrelevant? If you're listening to something you can do nothing about, it's irrelevant. It doesn't mean anything. Why do it? If you could watch your auras. Now, fortunately, I happen to be able to see auras. And bless your heart, this is a very good, lighting here. Because when you start to look at the light body around people, you can see when they really appreciate what you're saying and when they're not in agreement with you. So here's what happens to your bodies. When you're in agreement with me, you go, and when you don't like what I'm saying, you go. So I was telling my sister-in-law, I said, my prayer is that everybody watching TV can watch the auras of these people on TV. Because if you turn on Fox TV or whatever that program is, where all the goofy people are ripping everybody to shreds, right? They're like all the time. There is no expansion whatsoever. Now you got to ask yourself, why do I want to listen to somebody who's all the time? I don't want to listen to it. I don't. But I'll switch around, and this morning, I can't remember, we were watching something or other, and I guess it was Kathy Lee Griffin and her co-host, whatever that was. I don't watch TV very much, but when I do watch it, I watch auras. And it happened to be their 3-year celebration. Well, they were all, wah, like that. So I thought, well, whatever you're going to say, I want to hear you because you're happy. I only want to listen to happy stuff. I don't want to listen to this anymore because I'm deconstructing that belief system I don't want to be part of any longer. So what's the belief system I want, Rosa? The belief system I want to be part of is I can have anything I want anytime I want it. I can. And I do, and I will. And nobody here is going to stop me from believing that. So what happens to you when you start getting on that bandwagon? Well, you're going to want other people around you that want the same thing. You're going to want to start having a group around you that says, well, I can have anything I want anytime I want it. I'm a master of limitation, aren't I? Well, if I mastered limitation, then I can unmaster it. If I created a wall, I can tear it down. You can't tear it down for me. Because the minute Amy tries to tear down my wall, what do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to build a bigger one. By good golly, I'm going to show you I own that ring. And I own my wall, and you are not going to tear it down. That's what all the saviors have had to deal with. Card-carrying, laminated savior over here. I'm telling you how it works. So what you do then is you say to Amy, thank you very much. I appreciate everything you're telling me. I don't try and convince her of what I believe. Big mistake. Because all you're doing is pushing against a brick wall. That has got to be deconstructed, taken apart, all the bricks, put over here and make something else out of it. But don't take down the walls anymore. Yes, take down the walls is what we're doing now. The new paradigm is saying, I need a tissue. I don't know why my nose is running, but it is. The new paradigm is saying, number one, get that you're an eternal being. Part of what I was talking about on my teleconferences, hello. One of my wonderful mentors, you know, I always have fun in a brand new group that I don't know you and I'm watching your auras, how big they're going to get now. One of my darling mentors has been Jesus forever. Not the religious guy, but being a minister, I had to call on him a lot to find out what in the world he wanted to tell people. And so I used to have that kind of a relationship with him. It was like, you know, I was a minister of a teaching called the Teaching of the Inner Christ. Now go ahead and put that out. You know, that's a very scary term in the 80s when I was doing this work. So just recently I said to him, okay, we're gonna do these teleconferences. I don't know what you want to say to people. What should I talk about? He gave me a sentence, I'm in the world but not of it. So I spent 10 weeks developing I'm in the world but not of it. Think about that for a second. If you're an eternal being and you're in the world but you're not of it, what does that mean to you? It takes a little while to grok that and to get it inside, because the other thing we're taught of that I started to say at the beginning is that we're insignificant, we're small, there's something greater than we are. Well, what if there isn't? What if you're it? What if you're the greatest thing that ever was? Ah, now that makes you happy, right? If you start thinking, he's laughing, if you start thinking, I got to be careful because I do get very happy when I talk about this.
Oh, go ahead, get happy.
I know, it's infectious.
There you go.
When you're in the world but you're not of it, that is the statement about being an eternal being. That, yes, I'm in this world, I have a reason to be here, I'm here to love, I'm here to have fun, I'm here to enjoy life. Yeah, I'm here to kick butt, or I'm here to get kicked. That's okay, but I also have to figure out how to bless the situation so I can move on. Otherwise, I'm stuck. Otherwise, there's no ease and flow, is there? How many of you have experienced that? Where all of a sudden you're happy, everything's going along nice, and then somebody gets rid of the bridge. And you can't get from one place to another. We've all been there. But what if that's part of the whole scheme? What if it's part of everything? And that's where I'm headed. This is the message I'm wanting to get across, not only to you. I'm my best student. Let me tell you, I love to listen to what I have to say because I can't figure it all out any more than anybody else can. But you don't try and figure it out. I don't want to go to my head anymore. I want to be in my heart. I want to live it. So every day of my life, I walk into this beautiful lady's store today. I had no idea what I was going to talk about tonight until I talked to you. And so what did we start talking about right away? Missing things. How many of you feel a loss, that you really miss a person or something, situation or something in your life? Yeah? Okay. One of the huge lessons that I got from this whole piece of I'm in the world but not of it, if I know that I'm eternal, there's nothing to miss. If I don't know that I'm eternal, then I'm going to miss a lot. Then there's going to be people I'll miss, there'll be situations, there'll be all kinds of pieces that I'm going to miss. If I understand that I am this eternal being, every one of you will leave here and your whole idea about things will shift. You'll either think I'm out of my mind and toss that, or you'll start to think about it. Now, what happens when you start to think about it? Let's just say we spend a minute or two thinking about being an eternal being. If I'm in the flow, what do you think happens? I start to activate the energy that knows the truth about who I am. It's an activation. Everything I'm doing now for this next year is all about activating people's energy, including my own. I want activated every minute of every day. I'm not saying there won't be an unhappy moment. There has to be. But I don't want to be there longer than a minute and a half. So I'm sitting listening to my sister-in-law this morning going on and on about, and then I loved it. We didn't have enough to say about Obama. We had to get into the financial stuff and how everything is so terrible and all of that. And I said, well, if I can have anything I want anytime I want it, then money is of no consequence, is it? Why do we have to put so much energy on money? Why can't we just have anything we want anytime we want it? Right? Oh boy, now you're listening to that one. In order for me to do that, I have to deconstruct my false idea that money is going to get me whatever I want. I can have people give me things. I'm not joking. You've had people just hand you things, haven't you? Sure. I mean, did anyone say how much that costs? See, the deconstruction of this paradigm that we're leaving now, and this energy, as all of you are feeling things going very, very fast, it's like a centrifuge. Things are being spun off from you. And my purpose is, as quickly as I can discover it and find out about it, I want to name that stuff that's spinning off. And one of the things that's spinning off is money. We have to deconstruct the whole issue around money and whatever that means. So how do you do that? Well, this little card that I gave you, that I put together, on the back of it, which if you don't have glasses on, you probably can't see it, but it is a list of words. Happy words. Words like delicious, like sweet, like sexy, like whatever you see on there. I don't even know all the words that are on there anymore. So one of the ways that you begin to shift things is when you want to deconstruct something, you have to take your mind off of it. You can't you've got to quit giving it energy. So we talked about that at the beginning, how you begin to stop giving it energy. So rather than having any kind of consciousness around money, how much money is here, how much money is there, you deconstruct it and you find something else to put in its place. So what else would you put in its place besides that? To have anything you want anytime you want it.
Appreciation.
Appreciation is a big one. So when I appreciate somebody, what am I doing? Like, I love your belt. I really appreciate the shiny belt as it sparkles over there when I look over your way. And I love that you were the first person here, and it was so wonderful to see you sit down and go and pick up this piece because you were interested in what was there. And it made me just feel really good. What starts to happen right away?
You feel energy.
The energy increases, right? This is blessing. When you begin, you don't have to use the word blessing, but when you appreciate something, you're blessing it. You're starting to expand it. And whatever you expand is what's going to come to you. I create my own reality. What kind of a reality do I want to create? I no longer want to create. I want to create yay! I want to be a yay. I want to be a yay in the world. And I honestly really only want to be around people that want to do that. I want to be around people that want to learn as much as I do. One thing I've loved about being a teacher is being the first one in the seat. I want to know it before anybody knows it. And then I want to go practice it right away. I'm not interested in having a lot of mind stuff. I'm interested in what happens when we do this, when we get in a group of people and we start appreciating something about one another. We're loving the color of your shirt, or we're loving your beautiful earrings that you're wearing, or we're loving your plaid shirt, or we're just seeing something to enjoy, and that becomes your everyday practice. What then? What kind of a world are you going to live in then? So here you go.
Much better.
Huh?
Much better.
Much better. Right, you betcha. And you're going to want people around you like that, rather than the Chicken Little people who are wondering when the sky is going to fall. All scared and worried about everything, right? That's all you're going to create for yourself. And if you haven't seen it yet, you'll see as we move through the 6-month mark in 2011 and we start moving into the 2012 energy, And let me just stop for a minute and ask you if you know anything about the alignment that's going on December 21st, 2012. Know a little about it?
I've heard a little about it, yeah.
You know a little about it. Let me tell you about it a little bit. Anybody around when 1987, when it was a harmonic convergence?
No,
Okay.
I'm way too young for that.
You're way too young for that. I love it. Me too. I was just born. 1987. I've always been an advocate for world peace. I've worked for peace for many, many years. I created a citywide event in Las Vegas in 1985 when they had the World Instant of Peace on December 31st. 1987 came the harmonic convergence, and what that was a series of planets that were lining up. And if you look at the years, you can see the shift in consciousness that happened with people. Something very large is going on. December 21st, 2012. And that is that the sun, the Milky Way, and Earth are lining up. That only happens every 26,000 years. The Mayan calendar, everybody goes, well, the Mayan calendar is finishing. I guess we're all going to melt, fall into the earth. I listen to all that and go, what a bunch of hogwash. All it means is it's another opportunity for expansion. But if you watch the world and you see the black and white, it's getting stronger and stronger. You've got to ask why. And when you ask why, you've got to look at what's your job. Is your job to flow with the negative energies that are going on? Or is it your job to get happy? Is it your job to find the blessing in what's going on and see the joy in what's happening? For me, that's my whole thing. When I wrote this book, and I'll give you some information on it in a little bit, it started out being the joy factor. The last time I was here, Amy was doing my YouTube thing. It was so fun. I'm sorry, I have to laugh a little bit about that. It's really fun to see yourself on YouTube, you know. And have other people see, I saw you on YouTube. What were you doing on YouTube? So the book shifted as I wrote it because it became an activation book, activating joy. I've just finished it. It went to press this morning. It'll be ready in 3 weeks. And the next one has already started, calling Activate Love. And that whole book is about the initiation process. So, before I go there, this alignment is an initiation. That's what we're all going through. We're being initiated into joy. Now, what are you going to do with that? When you've got this strong dichotomy going on here, this paradoxical universe, that one is misery and I'm going to fall over, and the other one is happy, happy, happy. Right? Which way do you want to go? You're going to end up, everybody here will end up going more toward the joy place. Many of the people you know won't, because they won't understand it. So then you become the teacher. You become the one that goes out and says, by the way, do you know you're an eternal being? I mean, go ahead, tell your family that. I just told my family that. Here's my niece, who I hadn't seen in 5 years, just had her knee operated on, and my sister-in-law, who lives in Chicken Little World. And I'm sitting there going, how do I find the blessing in all of this? So what did I do? I taught my niece, who is a, what is she? She's a phys ed teacher, right? I mean, I told you, oh my God, can't quite. And so anyway, I was showing her how, and when in the school I teach people how to do these different healing techniques. And my figure eight's the biggest healing technique going. So it's called two-point healing. You put one hand, like she had her knee operated on, so you put one hand just over the knee, one hand on the bottom of the foot, which is your first chakra, and the knee is the fourth chakra. So you start to run energy, this figure eight energy. How do you run energy? You run energy from the earth through your heart, through your two hands. And you're having this beautiful energy moving back and forth. She was in a lot of pain. Within a few minutes, she didn't have any, Aunt Sandy, I don't have any pain anymore. Oh, goody. I know that. I know she's not going to have any pain because of I've been doing this for a lot of years. I know what happens when you do this. And so I was able to leave her with a new idea. I said to her, do you realize you're an eternal being? I love saying this because it's kind of a bomb you drop, you know, and people don't know what to do with it. What do you mean I'm eternal? You know, what do you mean my family's eternal? What do you mean if they live or die, whatever, you know, how am I supposed to deal with all this? As a society, we don't know how to deal with death. We don't. We get nuts when people leave this reality for another reality. And we don't know how to handle it. So we're learning. We're learning how to handle it. So this is the very first step. You recognize that nothing is going anywhere. This is a closed system, right? Your world is a closed system. You can't get rid of anything. That's terrible, I know, but you can't. The only thing you can do is transform it. So you can take something and you can shift the energy of it. You can shift the vibrational frequency. In order to really bring this teaching, you know, how you do this in an hour, I don't know. I'm trying here, though. You've got to call on the universal laws. How many of you know that there are universal laws that are immutable out there? What's one of the universal laws? Anybody? Law of attraction. What's another one?
The law of love.
Law of love. What else?
Law of cause and effect, is that?
Cause and effect. Actually, there's really two laws that I work with. And that's the law of resonant frequency and the law of attraction. So, but the resonant frequency is the one nobody talks about because they don't understand it. When you resonate with something, your vibration is calling it to you. It's creating a light body, an aura around you. Then the law of attraction comes to that. So you have to understand the resonant frequency first. So when you can understand the law of resonant frequency, your emotions and your mind sets up a vibratory field within you, so that when I'm working with a group and I can see that somebody is having, you know, ideas or thoughts or whatever's going on with them, I can usually see three colors that'll happen with somebody. If somebody gets mad at me and they don't like what I'm saying, they'll shoot off rockets of red. Sometimes I've had groups, I don't draw those groups to me anymore now, but I used to. When I was teaching for somebody else, actually, and I was a co-teacher, and the people in the audience didn't want to listen to me, they wanted the big kahuna, they would throw fireballs at me, and I'd have to step out of the way while they zip past me. So you know what that feels like when somebody doesn't want to listen to you and they get angry at you. Where do you feel it first? Anybody? You feel it, usually you feel it in your gut. Because this chakra is huge. Your third chakra, which is your power chakra, is very large. And so a lot of times people have a lot of issues in the power chakra because they haven't cleared it yet. And so as that energy comes in, you kind of get sick to your stomach. Sometimes you get hit in the heart, but mostly you get hit here. And the reason I want to bring up this particular chakra, you're going to have to tell me about time because I just never shut up. So the reason I want to talk about this power chakra so much right now is that that's the big thing we're doing. You're using your power to shift from allowing negative thinking to bring you over here, or letting yourself be in joy, of letting yourself be in grief and pain and missing and empty, to letting yourself know, I have an eternal family, I'm an eternal being, and so is everyone else. Everybody's just doing what they need to do in this lifetime. Whatever that is, it's not my job to know what it is you're doing. Not my job. Okay, my job is to just understand what I'm doing. And not worry. You then become, and I say this with all the love in my heart, but the way you think about me is irrelevant to the way I think about myself. I have got to believe in myself. I have to let you see everything about me. I have to be able to stand up here and be so real that you feel it. Otherwise, I can't get anywhere. Nobody can hear what I'm saying. If I try and put a lot of mental jazz on something, you will never hear me. You will turn me off. Because the only thing that's happening now is this 2012 piece is coming into alignment, is your heart is opening. You are empowering your heart. So I want to try and wind things down with this very huge subject by talking about when you bless something, when you see the good in things, when you begin to fill your own heart with light and love, you expand. And then everyone expands with you. You become then two things. You become, number one, a transmitter of energy. Because you're feeling it, you're transmitting it. Right? You're giving it freely. And if you keep going with it, you become an activator. So not only are you giving this energy and showing people how to work with this energy, you're activating them, because you will turn around, and because I'm telling you, what am I telling you? I'm telling you universal truth. So if you can hear it, it'll change you. You'll start to say, well, maybe there's something to this. And then the people in your life, the minute you leave here, just like I left here, we were on our way home, come in, and all of a sudden we have the conversation you and I have. Then I know exactly what I'm supposed to do tonight. I get messages through people. I don't just sit here and go, oh my God, tell me what I'm supposed to do tonight. No, you'll tell me. I'll walk down the street, or I'll go into a store, and all of a sudden a conversation will come up, and I'll know what I'm supposed to do. That happens to all of us. You know why? Because we're cooperative components in each other's life. I want you to hear me tell you that. You're a cooperative component in my life, because I'm just starting all of this right now. I'm going to do this fabulous weekend and talking about how to really work with the art of blessing and the art of bringing ourselves into this place, which we need each other to be able to do. I need you as much as you need me in that particular place, right? So you begin there, and then you practice it. You go around and you just practice it. Uh-oh, I'm condemning. I don't want to condemn anymore. What do I want to do? I want to bless you. Do I want to be a syrupy mouth, pukey face? No. I just want to bless you. I just want to bless that whatever you're doing in your life is perfect. You don't need saving. Not from me or anybody else. We talked about the money that you're doing here. I just want to talk about this for a minute. That doesn't mean that we don't help. Being a savior is taking away the power of somebody. When you're a savior, you're disempowering the person you're trying to save. Because you're saying you can't do it for yourself, you need me to do it for you. When you want to help people, you gather money and food and you go help them. You don't try and do their life for them. You don't give them advice. You don't tell them what they should do. You don't make them wrong for not having a job or a home. Do you follow the difference? So the part of us that's in our heart that wants to help is a good thing. We never want to lose that part. But you've got to learn to differentiate it. Because when I heard what we were going to be doing here tonight, I couldn't wait to be part of it. It was like, oh yes, I want to be part of that. I want to help. I'm helping now. This is the way I help. This is what I want to be doing. I don't want anything from you. Nothing. I don't want to change you. I don't want to do anything. I just want to share my magnificence with you. I have a website called thoushalt.com. I'm going to end with this little piece. 2 years ago, now you got to know that, yeah, I already told you that one of my pumpkins is JC and the boys, right? So they will have their conversations with me and tell me different things, right? Totally not a religious contest, please understand that. My other big guy that I like is Moses. Moses is a sweetheart. He is one of these beings that lives everywhere, all the time. I woke up one morning, big truth, it's on the last, didn't I say this on the last YouTube too? This was really fun this morning, because in order to be a voice for these ascended masters, you really have to have your consciousness challenged. So he wakes me up about 3, 4 in the morning, whatever time it was, and he says, I have some new commandments for everybody. I said, what? You want me to do what? So he gave me 10 new commandments. I laugh only because it's been such a joy to realize that, in fact, one of the chapters in my book, I'm talking about how we all ascend, including the ascended masters. As we do this work, everybody is shifting like this all the time. Everyone is expanding. You're expanding, and so are they. Whatever you think about these beings, they're growing and learning with us. So Moses said to me, I think it's time for you to have some thou shalts rather than thou shalt nots. So, a couple of them that I can even remember is embrace differences with enthusiasm. Oh my gosh, that was hard. I took that into my mystery school and everybody got triggered. What do you mean embrace differences with enthusiasm? Well, I can embrace this and this and this, but I can't embrace that. Okay. Another one was let your magnificence shine, right? So that one I'm working on. I'm letting my magnificence shine and making what other people think about me irrelevant, which isn't really true all the way, but I try and make believe it's irrelevant. So if you want to go to that website, it's kind of fun. I built the website myself, so I was kind of proud of the whole thing. But, so anyway, it's part of being able to bless. What I realize now, 2 years later, is that this whole idea of blessing and condemning is so huge for each and every one of us at this time, that we must learn this art, the art of blessing everything, no matter what it looks like. And if it feels negative, make it irrelevant. It's irrelevant to your happiness. It's irrelevant to your joy. It's irrelevant to your expansion of who you are and whatever it is you want to do. It is irrelevant, right? So I want to leave some time for questions, and I also want to give you, I guess I've got it over, where have I got it? Here. I want everybody to have this because I need your blessing. I made these up. This is my cover of Activate Joy. It's a work of art. I was so fortunate. Talk about cooperative components. The publishing industry is so frightening out there that I would have to practically be a millionaire to be able to publish a book and get it into Bantam or one of the big guys. And it was daunting. So for 4 or 5 years, I haven't gone there because by the time I start to list the editor and the person who's going to get it someplace and the people that are going to do the illustrations and everything else, you're dealing with 5 or 6 people and you don't even know if they're any good or have any interest in what you're doing. But Spirit's behind this book, and so Spirit brought this group to me that created a work of art. It's absolutely beautiful. So why don't you hand one out to everybody? And it'll be out in 3 weeks, and inside is the different chapters and all of the things that I've written about. It's basically what I've done in the book is I've made it my life story about how I got to where I am, which somebody asked me right away this morning, how did you get here? My goodness, it took me a book to write. So, anyway, it just went to press today, this morning at 8 o'clock. They sent it off to the printer. So the first copies are special editions, and it hasn't gotten to a big publisher yet because then they'll take it there once this is done. But I wanted it out now rather than a year from now. I wasn't willing to wait for Louise Hay or anybody else to decide that it was valuable. I valued it. And so in my valuing of it, I guess you would call it self-publishing, but I didn't really self-publish it. So it's not available on the bookshelves yet, but it will be within a few months because they're taking it to a larger house. So the way we bless things is we simply appreciate the work that someone's put into it. So you can bless this by simply appreciating the work that was put into it, whether you read it or whether it means anything to you or not. That's the way you can do it for others. You watch TV or you see something that's going on and you simply appreciate that somebody put themselves out there and took the time to create something. And that adds to your consciousness. When you can appreciate it, it adds to your consciousness. Do you know what I mean? So, anyway, let me just stop for a little bit and see if you have any comments or questions or anything. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned the area of chakras. I'm not familiar with your area. Are you referring to?
The chakra system of the body.
Yeah.
I think we have lots of...
Because my chakras, I go just to the trunk and up, and I thought you mentioned that it was me with the fourth chakra.
There's about... I work with 21 chakras.
Oh.
So, over the years, as I have developed my own teaching, I spent 2.5 years with Barbara Brennan when she first opened her school. But before that, I had spent 5 years channeling dolphins. And the dolphins were the ones that taught me about the chakra system, not Barbara Brennan or anybody else. I never even knew what a chakra was. I was a minister. I was learning about the Bible and God and all of that stuff. I don't know about chakras. But the dolphins started to come through one day and started talking to us about energy centers. Her name was Auna, and she began to teach us about the figure 8. So here's just one little thing that she began to teach way back, 1983 or 4 or whatever it was. She says, okay, here's your heart. If you have negative energy in your heart, you scoop it out and you put your arm out as far as you can to your higher spiritual self and you scoop in good energy because they can take care of the negative. And you just do this. So she went on teaching me about this, which I then shared with the people I was working with. Well, then that opened up a whole other place. Because then I began to realize, like, I fell day before yesterday, and I sprained my wrist really bad. Well, now your wrist is your second chakra. So anybody know second chakra, inner child, you know, your sexuality, all of that is second chakra. So it's your wrist and your knees. So when I was working with my niece, oh, you had to have surgery on your knee. Well, let's see, that's your right knee, so that's your masculine side. And it's ancient stuff. Knees are ancient, elbows are forward. So here's also fourth chakra. You've got to know that your body is a roadmap. If you're an eternal being, there's lots of ways to figure out what you're doing and what's going on. And your body is your key. What's your emotional body, your light body, your spiritual body, in other words, that's your key to everything. So the bottoms of your feet, I'll hold the bottoms of the feet because in the center of my palm is the first chakra, also in the bottoms of my feet. Perineum, that's all first chakra. What's first chakra go for? Survival, safety, feeling secure. So when I'm doing a healing on someone, I'm always wanting to work with that first chakra, whether I work with their hand or I work with their feet or wherever I'm guided to work, right? And so then it starts to make a lot of sense then, because how many of you have gotten injured in your wrist or your elbows or your feet or something, and then you try and figure out how it works in the main body system? If you understand that the lower part of your body is just as connected, that's how you actually do magnetic healing. You bring the magnetic healing up from the earth. But in my school, I also learned something else from them, is that there's not just magnetic healing, there's electrical healing. Well, where do I get that from? You get it from the ethers. You pull the electrical healing in this way, and it's called radiatory healing. So how do you do that? It comes out of your light body. Well, what's the light body got to do with the aura? Well, the light body lights up the aura. So you get deeper into your spiritual self. All of you here now are already budding and moving this light body big time, right? Somebody even wrote a book about the light body, I think. The Green book. I never did read it, but see, I am so dyslexic I can't read. All I do is just work with the energies as they present themselves to me. And then people tell me, right? So that's how I've done it that way. So your chakra system is huge. And as the heart starts to open, this light body literally emanates from this central core. So you've got your core that goes from just the Tandien down here all the way up to the top of your heart chakra, ends right up here. Put your finger up here in your little horseshoe, right? So the heart chakra has 7 chakras to it. There's a lot to learn. And so this is your core. Well, this is where the light body comes from. So let's say you have wounds anywhere along the line, which everybody does. A lot of times the light body has kinks in it. And then so you clear it out. It's when you do the healings that you do for yourself, right? That's how all of that works. So this core then brings the light body out, clears the aura. So you're coming from your core, you're clearing the debris out of your aura, right? And that's what other people are experiencing from you. They're either experiencing the light or the debris. That's clear, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. Yeah.
So then if you're clearing, should you be doing this clearing to prevent the debris from spreading and what have you?
Nah, you just disappear the debris.
You know,
Irrelevant.
Okay.
Irrelevant. The debris is irrelevant. You're getting tired. What else? Go ahead.
Putting ego aside. Like when you refer to like Gabbets and those voices talking in your head, putting yourself in that state of gratitude and blessings.
Yeah.
You need to put that ego aside, that judgmental person that's holding you back from allowing you to experience what you truly want to experience.
That's right. That's the Yabbit world. I mean, you know, that I've got a whole huge chapter on Yabbits and some personalities and all the parts of you that don't want you to be happy. Right? But they're there because you want them there.
That's right.
The only way you can...
Recognizing that ego, you need to recognize that ego and say, okay, now move away. I've got other things to do.
Yeah. Well, the way I do it is the way I was saying with Amy. Thank you very much for your input. I would like to move on now. You can be miserable and unhappy over there, and I'm going to just be my happy self over here. So I've developed a very humorous way to work with things, because when you're in pain, who wants to stay in pain? I want to laugh about it. Well, people get mad at you when you're in pain, and you know, so you've got to find a way to move with the pain people are in, so you're not devaluing or disrespecting it. But it's still, if you don't get humorous about it, you're not going to get the point. You have to see the humor in it all. You have to see the joy that's underneath there, and that's what the blessing part will help you do. Anybody else? Yeah.
I have a question about ascension. You talked about the ascended masters, and I've read a little bit about it. Can you talk a little bit about how do we, as inhabitants of this planet, ascend?
Sure.
Or can we?
Of course. You're an enlightened being right now. I have a lot of arguments with people who don't believe that we can be enlightened. But you're very enlightened people. And the minute I said that, you want to know what happened to all of you? You just went ploop, 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 like this. If I tell you you're enlightened, your crown chakra just went full bloom, especially back there in the back row. So you've got all of this stuff now because you know I'm telling you the truth. So who's telling you you're not enlightened? Irrelevant. You're irrelevant. I am an enlightened being. Okay? And I want to be more enlightened and more enlightened and more enlightened.
AlixSandra, thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving me permission to share your incredible teachings with the world. I love every moment that I'm in your presence. It is an absolute gift to learn from you and to just share space with you. You are an inspiration to all, and I wish you such success with your new book. Much love, and of course, many blessings to you, AlixSandra.